This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for August 4th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Monday edition of the podcast. What an eventful weekend. Looks like the weather's still going to be good today. But let's get right into the weekend. Every Monday, we rewind the weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And I got to take a minute here and give a shout out to someone very, very special. Shout out to Devin Cassidy, who, if you go to Philly Goat's website, has designed a Fanatic t-shirt. She did all the artwork, and 10% of the proceeds from the sale of this shirt go toward Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, because Devin wanted to help the kids out. And what a great person, what a great girl. And go support Devin. Go support CHOP. I mentioned this before. My family, we spent a lot of time at CHOP when my son was younger. So love the people down there. And kudos to Devin for just being an awesome, awesome person, designing these shirts, which are incredible, by the way, and then donating some of the proceeds to CHOP. She's awesome. The shirts are awesome. So go to Philly Goat, check out Devin's shirt, help support CHOP, and then don't forget to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, I guess overall you can say it was a good weekend for the Phillies. They took 2 out of 3 with the Tigers, who have the best record, or at least were tied for the best record in the American League. So you can't complain there. Friday night was J-Roll and Ed Wade getting inducted into the Phillies Wall of Fame. Was able to be down there for that. Just a great moment, reliving some of J-Roll's biggest career moments. It was cool to see Ed Wade. Didn't realize how much he played a role in that 2008 team. I knew he drafted those guys, but just sort of like some of the things behind the scenes. I read a story in the Inquirer yesterday that I think it was going into the 2006 season. J-Roll's contract was up, said he didn't want to negotiate and be a distraction during the season. Season started, there was no new contract, but there was like a secret meeting in the training room that nobody knew about between Ed Wade, Jimmy Rollins. I guess there were some other members from the Phillies brass there too. They worked out a deal, didn't leak it to the public, and nobody knew about it until Friday night. So pretty cool moment there. But some of the highlights from J-Roll's speech, you gotta love it, man. Basically said, people say playing hard in Philly is tough. And he was like, it is, if you don't want to win or if you're soft. And I don't know who that was a shot specifically toward, but I love it, because that to me sums up playing in Philly perfectly. Yeah, we're tough, but we just want to see effort. We want to see grit. And it was well documented. The fans and J-Roll had their moments, but I think it all came out of a place of love and wanting to win. And I like the fact that he called out this current team, looked directly at them who were standing in the dugout and said, look, you're tired of hearing about the 2008 team? Guess what? We were tired of hearing about the 1980 team, and we went out and we won our own championship. He was like, so the only way you're going to stop hearing about us is to go out and win the World Series. And I don't know. I was pumped up. So hopefully it plays a role for these guys. But got our first taste of Johan Duran's entrance. It's electric. I think as fans start to know the words to the song, it's going to get even better. And like just on a chilly night in October, that's going to be pretty cool. But Phillies win on Friday. A little thing about I'll get into that tomorrow. You guys kind of know how I feel. I went on a rant about this last year, but we'll get into that tomorrow about the Wall of Fame. Saturday was a little bit different of an outcome for the Phils. Not sure if we should be concerned about Zach Wheeler or not. It's his like third or fourth straight non-quality start in a row. I don't know where to go with this because he did have 10 strikeouts, gave up a few home runs though. And the Phillies, though, to their credit, they showed fight. They tried to come back in that game, just was not able to do it. And then yesterday, just Christopher Sanchez, most underrated pitcher in the league, went 8 innings, no runs, just was phenomenal. And then Duran came in and shut it down. Good weekend, like I said, for the Phillies. You took 2 out of 3 from one of the best teams in the American League. Somehow still are in first place, so it's all you can ask for, and help is on the way. Nola pitched the other night in AAA, looked good in his 3 innings. He's got another rehab starter too. David Robertson pitched. Jose Alvarado. Be interesting to see how they're going to approach him. I'd say, truthfully, if you throw him until his arm falls off. I don't know if I'd put him in any high leverage situations because you want to try to get your bullpen right. But at the same time, that's a big piece down the stretch in a pennant race to have. And he's an idiot anyway, so throw him until his arm falls off. I mean, especially if you're not going to re-sign him next year, you throw him as much as possible in whatever situation you can, and go from there. But overall, good weekend for the Phils. 3-game series this week at the bank against the Orioles. Luzardo's on the mound tonight, followed by Taiwan, and then Ranger Suarez on Wednesday. Let's go get to at least minimally 2 out of 3 from the Orioles and start expanding this lead a little bit on the Mutts. But I'll get more into this in a minute. Our tournament is officially over, which leads us to the return of the question of the day. And I saw this all over the place this weekend on my Twitter timeline, so I figured I'd turn it to you. Lots of debate about J. Roll's Hall of Fame credentials and resume. Personally, I've gone on record on this podcast numerous times and say Jimmy Rollins is a Hall of Famer. If you look at the stats and body of work and resume and everything, I think the numbers speak for himself. But I think if you just look at the eye test, and I'm a big fan of the eye test. Like, sometimes you just don't need lists and lists and lists of stats. You look at the eye test, and he was one of the best. He was one of the top 3, I would say, shortstops in the National League during his career. He also played in the same era as Derek Jeter, who was one of the all-time best shortstops ever. So I think that sometimes is what people look at. But if you look at just the body of work on the field, and I think this year more than anything, if you look at what we feel when Trey Turner is out at shortstop, defensively, you never had to worry about a thing with Jimmy Rollins. And I think that is underrated. Dude caught everything. I go back to the 2008 clincher for the division when Trey Turner, that ball would have went, there's no way they turned a double play. That ball would have either been in center field or he wouldn't have got it anyway. And again, not really knocking Trey here. This is more a testament to Jimmy. But I feel he's a Hall of Famer. But the question of the day, and he got more votes last year in the Hall of Fame vote than what J-Roll did. Who's more deserving of a Hall of Fame induction? Is it Jimmy Rollins or Chase Utley? And look, this is not a knock against Chase. I think you can certainly make a case for Chase. But to me, Jimmy Rollins' credentials and resume is far better than what Chase Utley was. And he did it for a lot longer. But let me know what your thoughts are. Jimmy Rollins or Chase Utley, who is more deserving of a Hall of Fame induction? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. This will also be in the Discord channel as well. But who's more deserving of a Hall of Fame induction? Jimmy Rollins or Chase Utley? And take your like, because I like Chase as much as I like Jimmy, but you're looking strictly on the field. I think you got to go Jimmy here. All right, Eagles news over the weekend. Injuries are starting, little nicks and scratches are starting to pile up. Apparently, A.J. Brown missed practice with a hamstring injury. But for the most part, still pretty quiet in Eagles camp. Eric Allen was inducted into the Hall of Fame over the weekend. His speech basically said he grew up in Philly, became a man in Philly. And just looking at the highlights and going down an Eric Allen memory lane, you just forget how underrated really he was on that defense. Because everybody talked about the line and the sacks, Reggie, Jerome, Clyde. But Eric Allen being able to be essentially a shutdown corner in the defensive secondary really helped those guys to be able to go after the quarterback. So shout out to Eric Allen into the Hall of Fame this weekend. Hall of Fame committee. Now let's do the right thing and get Seth Joyner in there next. It's a travesty that he's not in there. So now Eric's in. Let's focus on getting Seth into the Hall of Fame. And of course, as the Cowboys turned, Michael Parsons requested a trade over the weekend. Dumpster fire central, and it keeps getting better and better. Just sit back, relax, and watch the Cowboys implode. Union had a friendly over the weekend against a club from Germany. They had a 2-2 draw. They're back to their MLS schedule this Saturday. It's crunch time. Straight sprint to the finish. Hopefully they're able to hang on and make a deep run here in the MLS Cup. And then this weekend in Philly sports history, on August 2nd, on Saturday, Tony Taylor hit the ultimate grand slam for the Phillies. It was the first one in club history. An ultimate grand slam is a walk-off grand slam when your team's down 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. He did this in 1970. The only other one to do it was Bo Diaz, who did it in 1983. And then on August 3rd, in 2006, the Phillies beat the Cardinals 8-1. Chase Utley extended that hitting streak to 35 games. Unfortunately, it would end on this day in 2006. And then in 2003, the first ever event at Lincoln Financial Field, Manchester United took on FC Barcelona. I was there. The crowd was rocking, and the Link just was able to showcase what it had to offer. But that is Rewind the Weekend, brought to you by Philly Goat. Don't forget to support our girl Devin. Go pick up that Philly Fanatic shirt. And while you're doing it, you're also helping the Children's Hospital Philadelphia and all the kids who need it. Like I said, what a great story. What a great girl. So go support Devin and buy that Fanatic shirt. All right, let's do some housekeeping. All right, the greatest individual season in Philly sports history tournament is over, and it is Wilt Chamberlain from 1961-62 taking home the title, knocking out Steve Carlton from 1972 with 58% of the vote. Hard to argue against a guy who averaged 50 points a game, 48 and a half minutes, 25 rebounds, had a game in which he scored 100 points. Very hard to argue that. But thank you, everybody who throughout the month of July voted in this tournament. Have some fun. Always enjoy our summertime tournaments. But now it's time to get into some real more sports as training camp opens. Eagle season is around the corner. Looking forward to it. But the tournament is always a good way for us to get through the summer. So it's Wilt Chamberlain from 61-62 with the Philadelphia Warriors, the greatest individual season in Philly sports history. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. If you are a new listener, welcome. We are glad to have you. Don't forget, details should be coming soon. I'm hoping to finalize a couple things this week on the Eagles pregame show. We'll do something for preseason, almost like a test run. It's our preseason as well, gearing you up and previewing the season. So stay tuned for details. Once I have them all kind of worked out and finalized, I'll give you that information. But we are kicking off our top 5 for the first 25 years of the century today. And essentially what I'm going to do is, I've had this lined up and in my chamber really since November of last year. I know they did some similar things on some of the radio stations I noticed throughout Twitter. But I'm going to give you mine. And what this is going to be is the top 5 list for a variety of categories in Philly sports since the year 2000. Today, we're going to look at the top 5 villains in the first 25 years in Philly sports. And, I mean, there's a lot. There's there's a million ways we could have gone with this. Some honorable mentions of people who didn't make the list. J.D. Drew, bad enough that we ended up throwing batteries at him. Terrell Owens, for as much as we loved him, he did become public enemy number 1 in that 2005 season. Larry Brown, again, very similar situation to T.O., kind of ruined the Sixers, left and won a championship with the Pistons. Eli Manning, but I don't think he was enough of a villain. He beat us a couple times, but I always feel like the Eagles did a good job against him. Scott Stevens, of course, for the hit on Eric Lindros. Carson Wentz. Yeah. Chipper Jones, Ryan Braun, Gabe Kapler, Ben Simmons, Scott Rowland, and then the combo of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick for their role in Spygate. But here are my top 5 villains. I'll go reverse order, 5 to 1. Danny Ainge. And not Danny Ainge from when he played for the Celtics, but Danny Ainge, the general manager, front office guy for the Celtics, who hoodwinked the Sixers into trading for the number 1 pick, where they took Markelle Fultz, giving the Celtics Jason Tatum. And then he still, with some of the contracts he gave and some of the things he offered, just a thorn and a pain in the ass to the Sixers. Picking up right where his playing career left over. So Danny Ainge comes in as number 5. Number 4, staying with a Celtics theme. Nobody's going to tell me that this dude was not a spy when he came into Philly, and that is Al Horford, longtime member of the Hawks, member of the Celtics, 1 year with the Sixers, the bubble year, and not only was he a Sixers killer, he came in and just was terrible that year. And then, of course, left and found the fountain of youth with the Boston Celtics. So Al Horford comes in at number 4. Number 3, Rondé Barber. Just another guy who was just a thorn in the Eagles' side. Of course, shut down the vet with the pick 6 in the NFC Championship game. Had the game in Tampa where the Eagles came back and almost completed the comeback, but gave up a 62-yard field goal as time was expiring. But in that game, Rondé Barber also had 2 pick 6s, went into the Hall of Fame, and said, "I love ruining the Eagles' day." So had everything you need for a villain. Not only did he have success against the team, but he embraced the success. So Rondé Barber comes in number 3. Number 2, Chip Kelly, for obvious reasons, cutting Deshaun, trading LaShawn. All the moves. Basically, Howie Roseman had to clean up his mess. Just a smug, punchable face. Chip Kelly was. So Chip Kelly, the number 2 villain since 2000, and the number 1 villain since 2000 in Philly sports history. Speaking of punchable faces, Sidney Crosby. So many playoff games against the Flyers. I think they ended up playing almost 25 over the year. But again, everything you want in a villain. Talks his trash, plays well against them, and the guy that you love to hate. Had some battles with Giroux in the playoffs there. But that is the top 5, my top 5 villains since 2000. Danny Ainge, Al Horford, Rondé Barber, Chip Kelly, and Sidney Crosby. Who'd I miss? Who would you have added to the top 5? Is there anyone else I missed? Could have gone any way with this, but that's my top 5 villain list. Do you agree, disagree? Who would you add? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Hit me up on social media, the Discord channel, all of that. But who are your top 5 villains in Philly sports? I got Danny Ainge, Al Horford, Rondé Barber, Chip Kelly, and Sidney Crosby. The top 5 in the first 25 of the century. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at the top 5 disappointing players in Philly sports since 2000. Could have probably had a top 55 list for that one, but stay tuned for that tomorrow. But today, it's all about the villains. Who did I miss? Who should be added to the list? Packing up the whole crew for a week down the shore? Don't waste your first day dragging bags and beach chairs. Let Beach Caddy do the work. With bellhop service for move-ins and move-outs, plus beach cart rentals in Ocean City, Avalon, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, and Wildwood, they've got your back from driveway to dune. Stress less, relax more. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your bellhop or cart rental services. Beach Caddy, because vacation should start when you get there. best beach cards on the Jersey Shore. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your order and let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your vacation. Don't forget, for the rest of August, that promo code will get you 15% off at Beach Caddy. Take a last-minute trip to the Jersey Shore and let Beach Caddy take care of the stress. All right, on Friday, the trivia question was, who are the only Phillies to get 40 saves in a season? That would be Jose Mesa, who did it twice. He had 45 and 42. Mitch Williams had 43, Brad Lidge 41, and Steve Bedrosian, Bedrock, probably the worst Cy Young Award winner in National League history, with 40 in 1989. All right, August 4th. Going to go back today first to 1947. And before Smokin' Joe, there was another champ from South Carolina who moved to Philly, and that would be the Philadelphia Bobcat, Bob Montgomery, who was a light heavyweight champ. He had a fierce rivalry with Trenton's Ike Williams. And on this day in 1947, Bobcat Montgomery lost in the 6th round by knockout to Ike Williams for losing the unanimous. It was kind of a unification bout for the unanimous light heavyweight title. It was fought at Municipal Stadium. You might know Municipal Stadium better as JFK Stadium. They fought in front of 30,000 fans, but Montgomery, to his credit, was a 2-time champion and is in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Ike Williams is in the International Boxing Hall of Fame as well. But Bobcat Montgomery took on Ike Williams today at Philadelphia's Municipal Stadium for the unanimous light heavyweight championship, losing by knockout in 6 rounds. Ike Williams was able to get his revenge on Bobcat, but both were great fighters. So there you go. Before there was Smokin' Joe from South Carolina, there was Bobcat Montgomery losing to Ike Williams for the light heavyweight title on this day in 1947. Lots of big boxing matches, by the way, happened at Municipal Stadium. So it'd be cool to see some outside boxing, I guess, even at the Link or Citizens Bank Park. And then fast forward to 2015, we talked about J-Roll earlier today, but on this day, he returned to Citizens Bank Park for the first time as a member of the visiting team. He was traded to the Dodgers that offseason, received a nice standing ovation prior to the start, or his first at-bat. Did go 2 for 5 with a double, but the Phillies had the last laugh as Maikel Franco hit a grand slam in the 7th to give the Phillies a 6-2 win. 2 teams in 2 opposite directions that year, though. The Dodgers would end up making the playoffs, losing in the NLDS to the Mets. The Phillies avoided barely, losing 100 games, going 63-99. But we know help was on the way in the form of Bryce Harper. So we had to suffer through a couple more years of just absolute terrible baseball before it came. But Jimmy Rollins did return to Citizens Bank Park for the first time as a visitor, received a nice standing ovation, and then Maikel Franco stole the show. So we're going to do a Jimmy Rollins theme for today's trivia question. He's in there, but where does he rank? Who are the top 5 leaders in career doubles for the Phillies? Again, any social media, Discord, Back to the Future voice and text line, but who are the top 5 career leaders in doubles in Phillies history? Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a review, all that other good stuff as we try to outsmart the algorithm. Don't forget, fantasy football season is around the corner. These things make a great winning and losing gift for your champion and your last place finisher. Go to Lotwin to get your 3D custom hype chains. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. That's Lotwin.com. On this day in 2015, J-Roll comes back as a visitor this time as the Phillies beat the Dodgers 6-2. Nice standing ovation. In 1947, Bobcat Montgomery loses to Ike Williams at Municipal Stadium in losing his light heavyweight championship. Ike Williams from Trenton became the unanimous champion, undisputed champion, if you will. Let me know your thoughts on the villain list. I got Danny Ainge, Al Horford, Rondé Barber, Chip Kelly, Sidney Crosby. Who would you put in there over any of those guys? Let's have some fun with this in August as we approach the start of football season. We'll have more on the Phillies Orioles tomorrow. Any updates from training camp, as well as it's Tuesday, so be ready for some Tuesday motivation, positivity tomorrow. But like I said, go support Devin. Awesome idea. Buy the shirt, which is a great shirt, and then help support Chop as well. You won't be disappointed. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 4th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourself some Monday. Remember, be a shark out there. Go attack your Monday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.